Summertime. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at a local Regal cinema theater in Laurel, and now we're going to talk about it right next to the theater in the parking structure in Matt's Time to Pilot. You know what? We're going to talk about such things as: should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Can you bring your family or a date? Should you go by yourself? Do you need to pay attention all the time, or can you slack off and maybe nap, craft, or snack? You know, all that kind of stuff. Was it good? Was it bad? Should you see it in theaters? You know, we try to touch on all that. Some of it, all of it, none of it. You know, we try. I am Todd Dover.
And I'm Matt Malloy. And yes, welcome to this episode. We saw a movie. This movie is called I Know What You Did Last Summer. And you may say, there's already a movie called that, Matt. Yep. Yes, you'd be right. There is. It was a pretty old movie at this point from the 1990s.
Almost 30 years.
But this movie is in that universe, and we're going to talk all about it. But the first thing we like to talk about is, who might we recognize from this? Tim, who might we recognize from this?
Well, Matt, as you said, this is a continuation, legacy sequel, whatever you want to call it, to I Still Know What You Did. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And that means we see Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. returning from it, and of course they were stars of the original. There are also many references and pictures to other stars of the franchise, which I will not go into. But as far as recognizable names, they are it. There are a lot of young character actors in this, but I wouldn't say any of them are quite well known yet. You might recognize them from the roles they've played. One of the guys was Prince Eric in the new Little Mermaid, and one of the ladies was in Glass Onion, but like none of them are household names yet. And I don't know if think this will help them in that endeavor.
Okay.
Could you imagine doing a movie like The Little Mermaid for Disney and be like, this is my shot, and be like, it's all skyrocket from here, and then you follow it up with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, I'm sure he's done other stuff, but I'm like,
Yeah.
That's a sign to me that things didn't work out like he thought they were going to.
Very true. Well, what is this movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer, all about? Well, there are a collection of 5 friends who witness something and decide to be silent about it. The next year, a note arrives. The note says, I know what you did last summer. And then killings begin based on apparently this note and this concept that they're hiding something. They all decide to hide something. And we get the villain from the other movies. Not the same villain, but we get the
Using the same motif.
Character dressed as a fisherman with a hook.
And not the good kind like Gordon's, the bad kind.
Right. He doesn't have delicious fish fillets for you.
No,
he has a hook that he wants to stab you with. And so the rest of the movie is them trying to figure out who this is and not get killed, and some of them do and some of them don't, and yeah, this movie is
follows the plot of the first two, I would say.
Yeah,
to the left.
It does do that. So that's what it's all about. Todd, do you know what you did last summer, and how do you feel about this movie?
I do know what I did last summer, but that's private. So
Okay.
You're not going to tell anybody either, right?
No.
Watch out for fishermen. That's all I have to say.
Unlike all the babies in this movie, I stand proud in front of a guy with a hook and I say, I think I got an okay shot. I'm going to stand my ground because, you know, the worst thing in these movies is when you turn your back to someone. Like, stop turning around.
Yep.
Right.
Like, all right, well, let me start by saying that I don't think this is a horrible movie, but it's not good. And it's weird why I think it's not good. I have no problem with the legacy pieces of this movie and bringing back, you know, older characters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think they did that in a really good way.
I agree with that.
However, this movie, and for a movie that is supposed to be set in the real world, where people make real decisions and stuff like that, this movie is very much like, I can't follow what anyone does in this movie and be like, what? That's the entire movie to me, where scenes, like, where I would audibly be like, ugh, or like, in my mind I'd be like, what? That probably happened every 15 minutes in this movie. And I get it. You're supposed to be rattled and you don't know what to do and blah, 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 blah. And I get it. I've never been in a life-threatening situation like that. So I can't 100% say that I would do anything different. But this movie is just filled with dumb, stupid decisions that are hard to support. and again, the problem with the first I Know What You Did Last Summer, for me, I'm not saying as a movie, but for me, is that you have these characters, and this one's no different. You have these characters who did a real horrible thing, and then we're supposed to be upset that they can't continue to live their lives scot-free with no consequences for the really horrible thing that happened. It's like, it's not a compelling story anymore. Like, we're to the point where even though things are shady right now in our country, I would say there are more people who are standing up for right than there are wrong. So these movies just don't connect anymore. Like, I could not connect with any person's decision about the opening kind of like accident that happens. And this one's even more of an accident. The original movie was straight up murder. Like, they ran over a person, they dumped his body in the bay. Like, so it's like, okay, you guys are dying. I can't care less because you guys are just murderers. And you got away with it because you're white and rich. And then this movie sets that up kind of again. And you're like, wow, okay, another white rich debacle. And it just was like, it wasn't like the movie was bad itself. It's just like there are these decisions in the movie that you just can't stand behind. Like, including to the point, there is a point in this movie where someone gets the upper hand on the killer, straight up knocks them out. And then there's a fast cutaway scene. The next scene is that they're crawling away and they're down farther from where they were. And I was like, well, what just happened? You just beat the killer. Like, and they don't pay that off at all as far as like, hey, what happened? Like, so it just was like, it wasn't that the story was bad, and it wasn't that even the execution of the legacy story was bad. It's the execution of all the new characters. It's just bad decision after bad decision. And as I was saying in the theater, when you watch like a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street, you got to suspend your disbelief because there's a supernatural element to these movies. Or even just a classic slasher. The whole point of the screams and I Know What You Did Last Summer is that they're supposed to be super realistic. Could happen in the town that you're in. Like, it's supposed to bring this like idea that, hey, this could happen to anyone. And just the decisions in this movie are real bad. So, and they set up another one. Who knows if that's going to happen? But I would say I'm going to land on, if you were a fan of the first two and you want to continue this ride and you loved it, then more power to you. Go see the movie. If you're going to see it, why not see it in theaters? Might as well support the movie like that. But I don't know if I could land on this is a movie to just go see. Like, I wouldn't say yes to that. I think you lose a lot of it by not seeing the originals. I'm not saying you lose everything, but their recap of the events from the first one are kind of lofty and all over the place, and they touch on the finer points, but you don't get the entire story, I don't think. And they only throw one line away from two, which is at one point one of the characters is like, let's just get on my boat and go to the Bahamas. And that was the story of two. And Freddie Prinze is like, I take it from my experience. That's not a good idea.
Don't do that.
So yeah, I mean, I thought this movie was shot pretty well. Like, I think some of the cinematography were fine for the white area of wherever this place is, Bay Harbor or whatever it's called. Southport.
Generic harbor town.
Yeah, generic white Annapolis town, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if you love the first ones, go see this one. If you didn't care about the originals, you're not going to care about this one. If you never saw the originals, then there's no point in seeing this one.
No, it's definitely
so it's really hard for me to land on telling anyone besides the fans already to see this movie. There's a ton I could go on about, but it all gives away the story, and I just can't do that. But, like, I'm going to leave it there. But if you see the movie and you want to know what my thoughts are, uncensored, then I don't know. Contest is on Facebook.
Spicy Todd.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah, Todd, I think you and I are in lockstep here. Like you said, this wasn't horrible, and it very well could have been. Like I remember the second movie being pretty silly and not as much fun as the first one. At least the first one at the time was.
Well, we've talked about why I hated the second one.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The second one is just kind of we got to make another one. I'm like, no, you don't really. But this one at least felt like you said, a legacy sequel where there was some care taken in the legacy part, and I thought they did do that well. Like as far as the town itself kind of was like this, all the typical towns in these movies are like in Jaws, where it's like, we don't want to talk about the horrible thing that happened here, so we're just going to pretend it didn't. But the characters who were involved were affected by it and are still affected by it. And so they were trying to touch on some things as far as dealing with trauma and dealing with, history and, have you moved on, or have you always dealt with it, whatever. I thought those elements of the movie worked and was a way to kind of keep this one interesting, watching this new generation go through it. But then, as you said, Todd, the new generation is not written well in a way where you can sympathize with them.
Not at all.
And I know that sometimes horror movies take that approach because, well, most of them are going to get killed, so you don't need to like them or know them now that well. But that's a very cynical approach to a movie where, like you said, it's meant to be more realistic / grounded as much as these movies can be.
Well, you need someone to root for.
Right, and it's and while again they try to do the thing where, one or two of the characters said maybe we shouldn't hide what happened and we should talk about it or deal with it properly, and that person gets shut down. It's like there's still some decisions and motivations that are made that are kind of like, what are you doing? It's because you're in a horror movie, and it's I wanted to like this because I thought it was trying to do something interesting, or at least be a good legacy sequel for something that didn't need one. But the other elements around it just fell apart. But not to go into spoilers, but like when you realize one of the killer's motivations and the explanation for it, I'm back in. I dig it. That's actually really interesting. And there's something there. But then it just still falls into the tropes. And it still wasn't enough of a satisfying payoff for everything that came before it. And then, like you said, there's a crazy sequel tease, and I'm like, I don't know if I need to go back again. And so, but if you're, like I said, if you're a fan of these, I'm sure you'll jump back on, and it's like, oh great, that's cool, I'll do some more, and that's fine. But yeah, horror isn't always my first thing anyway. But just as a movie, you definitely need to have seen the first two to enjoy this, I think. It's more connected in a way that's not it's not trying to say win over new fans, is what I would say. And so, like I said, it was. I also agree with you. Well shot. I thought, they did some jump scares, but that's typical. But they weren't cheesy jump scares. They were your typical jump scares for a movie like this. And it just kind of fell kind of flat, even though it had the ambition, I think, to try and be something special. But it just never got there. It never got up on the ground running. And it would get, like you said, get that one little nugget of, ooh, okay, that's an interesting thing, and then leave it.
Well, they would come out with things where, like, okay, that's not a bad idea. We should all stay in the same house. Like,
yes,
never be alone. Okay.
Right. Great. Good.
Maybe it shouldn't be a giant mansion.
Right.
And then everyone breaks off to have sex. Like, it was like, okay.
It's like we got to get back into the horror
That
tropes.
is such a... And it's kind of a horror trope, but I think it's a commentary on today's younger people that
maybe.
Sex is used to produce, like, for their grief and all that kind of stuff. Sex is used as how you process or whatever, which I think is definitely true for the main character of this movie. I mean, that was not a hidden thing that they were
subtle on that.
But it's just like, wow, okay. Every time they might say something that I was like, all right, that's a decent plan, it would go haywire. Just through their own stupidity, not because anything actually happens.
No, not actual, stumbling into something they didn't mean to or whatever, and no, I'm with you. And it's just, like I said, there were elements of the town being this town trying to be the perfect town, they ignore their past, and there's always interesting angles you can take with that other movies have done. But this just, it was more cliches than anything, and I don't know. I wanted to like it, but I think I'm going to come out on the side of the negatives outweigh the positives. Matt, as our horror fan, Matt?
Yes. So I think that I probably liked this movie less than you guys did.
Oh, really? Okay.
I agree in part with a lot of what was already said. I'm not going to recover a lot of ground, but I thought that the beginning of this movie was nicely done.
Yeah.
We introduce the characters, we see what kind of people they are, we get some like backstory on some of them. Kind of everything before the killing started, I was like, okay, I'm in. Even some of the first kills, I'm like, okay, this is kind of suspenseful. They're doing this pretty well. And then I just felt like the rest of the movie, things just got looser and looser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And the ending of this movie, I thought, was particularly bad.
Oh, very atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very an affront to the movie you just watched. Even. You're
Right.
Like, wow.
Right.
Okay.
Like several false endings, and then things just kind of evaporated from where we started, which was nice and tight. And I was interested in the characters to the end, where I wasn't interested in any of the characters anymore. They had all tarnished their legacies.
Who
and
do you root for?
and gave us no one to root for. And
Well, and even like the survivor or survivors, depending on who lives or whatever, like the last scene with anyone in this movie like that is horrible.
Yeah.
It is.
Too aloof and like
It
almost
was.
mocking.
Let's joke about what's just happened and stuff like that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind all this trauma.
There's a
we
ton of
actually
dead people. A lot of them were your friends. Like it just was like, what? Like,
right.
And
Jokey.
you could even argue some of the characters would be that cynical and aloof about it, but that still doesn't make it right.
Yeah, and I don't think the pairing that we got at the end talking about this would be the characters who would be like that.
Right.
right.
Yes.
They weren't like that the entire movie.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
They were terrified. They were affected by the events throughout the movie, and then at the end, oh, it's all over.
Well,
It's a
and
joke.
the most, and I said this in the theaters, the most just crazy tone deaf throwaway like joke of this movie happens at the end, where one person says, if only men would go to therapy, this stuff wouldn't happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is like insulting to me as a man. But then also, that's not true. If you and your friends weren't horrible human beings who tried to cover up something bad, that's what started all this. Like, the fact that they can go through this entire experience and not on the other side of it still feel like they did something wrong is just, honestly, this sounds really bad. It's very indicative of today's youth. No consequences, no self-responsibility. It's like, we survived it and now it's in the past, so whatever. Let's joke about it now. Who cares?
Who cares indeed?
Who cares?
Perfect ending to my monologue is who cares? Who cares about this movie?
We care about your opinion, but not maybe the movie.
Yeah. So yes, I agree. If you've seen these movies, you might as well watch this one. But it's a mess, and
you can wait for stream.
I can't recommend people see this. So that's where I'll leave my thoughts on the matter.
Fair enough. Well, how many dead Sarah Michelle Gellar's would you give this movie? Which it's not a spoiler that she's in this movie because that's been reported on. But obviously, it's like a dream sequence. Like her character is very dead.
Yes.
0 being the worst because then you got none and you're not partying or doing anything. 5 being the best because then you got 5 dead Sarah Michelle Gellar's and. I would assume that could be a fun time, depending on how dead they are or what's going on. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. If they're zombie dead, then that's bad for you because they want to eat you. If they're, I don't know, Weekend at Bernie's dead, and you just need to play some music, then you got yourself a party.
Right.
Matt?
Well, I'm going to go with almost 2 dead Sarah Michelle Gellar's here. 1.9 out of 5. And, I didn't... I enjoyed only the first bit of this movie, and it went downhill from there. So, 1.9 for me.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to like it. Some elements were there to make it work better than it did, and I dug some of the killer's motivations. as far as because as far as the legacy and the connection and all that, that was like, oh, this is so good. Why is it wasted in this mess? So it wasn't enough to save the movie at all. But I think I'm probably gonna be more generous than I want to be because it's a gut reaction. So I'm at 2.1.
I'm not far off from any of that. I think I've talked myself down in my ratings since we started here.
Gut reaction though.
Yeah. I'm at like a 2. Like honestly, and without being able to go into it more,
Yes, that's the thing.
one of my biggest problems is that I think there's a very anti-men message in this movie.
I noticed that as well.
And
I couldn't talk about it because
yeah. I mean, you can't. I can't expand on it unless you've seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, that's what's sitting really. I mean, besides it not being good, that message is sitting really poorly with me right now. Like, kind of insulting.
definitely
but
there.
that's kind of how I feel. So, 2. I'm sure give me the night to think about it, and it's probably going to be down to like a 1.
1 point something.
Like I'm going to be picking it apart in my brain for the rest of the night, and I know it's going to drop the rating dramatically.
Fair enough. Well,
That's a low average.
that is a low average. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we review I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025 edition. And we gave it an average rating of 2 dead Sarah Michelle Gellar's out of 5. That's not great.
Nope.
That's kind of a below average thing. And so I think in general we'd say, unless you're a big fan of this series, you could probably skip this one. So yeah.
I would say potentially in my mind this is better than 2. But that's because 2 is horrible.
Yeah.
I think I would actually agree with that.
Yeah.
I never saw 2. So
You're not missing.
Well, let me explain why I hate 2 real quick, because it's very quick.
yeah.
The absolute premise of the movie is that Julie and her college roommate win a radio contest that they got called from to go to the Bahamas. They win this contest, right? The question that's asked in this radio thing is, what's the capital? What did I say? Capital of
What's
Brazil.
the capital of Brazil?
And they say Rio, which is wrong.
It's Brasilia.
And
Right.
even as,
It's a plot
I don't know,
point.
a
It's a
high
plot
school
point,
student or something like that, I knew that, and I'm horrible at geography. And you're like, that's a dead
The movie
giveaway to the
wants you to-
secret of the movie. And
Right.
you're like, even as I was watching it, I was like, that's not right. That's not right at all. Like,
Yes.
and then that plays into who the killer is and all that kind of
And
stuff.
why-
But I was like,
But yeah,
I can't get past that. Like,
It's fair.
it's bad.
Fair.
And it was really a.
and it wasn't like, I can understand maybe you don't know and that was a setup for you, but as you are telling
Yes.
other people in your lives that you won this trip and they're asking for the story,
What was the question?
no one was like, well, that's not right.
Right.
That's the wrong answer, but you still won. That's fishy to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You have this horrid past of people trying to kill you. Maybe you shouldn't just trust that.
All their friends are stupid. That's the
we
answer.
have
That's the
that is
message.
a common thread.
It should be like, how stupid were your friends last summer? Like that's
Yeah.
how these movies should be.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody at work this week. It was about, she was complaining about a Harry Potter movie. She was complaining about a Lord of the Rings movie.
Oh, boy.
And she was like, oh, this dragon wasn't acting like a dragon. And this other one was like a Nazgul who's trying to get the ring bearer. He's like,
Sure.
the Nazgul was so, like, they could have gotten the ring so easily, and they didn't do what they should have done.
Yeah.
And I said to both those things, I said, look, it's just a stupid dragon and a stupid Nazgul.
Yeah.
That's the
That
problem.
happens in life sometimes.
Yeah, that happens in life. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a stupid opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, take that.
Was the dragon from Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
I can't
dragon.
remember.
Goblet of Fire.
Is
I
there
think.
Goblet
any?
of Fire,
Is
which is the best
I've
one in
not
my
seen
opinion.
that one.
That's
I can't remember
that's the
dragon
only
at
one
all.
I like.
There's like kind of a chase and...
Does the dragon act like a dragon, and you were just like, you're dumb?
No,
Oh.
the dragon could have like blasted Harry Potter with fire.
Okay, I get
Instead,
that.
climbs up a building and like goes near him and doesn't shoot him with fire. and-
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stupid, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Dragon not doing dragon.
I can
things.
agree with what your coworker is saying.
Right.
But when
So-
actual bad movies are actually doing bad things, those rank higher than those type of things to me.
Yes.
Correct. Well, anyway,
You should invite this coworker on the podcast.
Yes, very much.
We've gone far afield here, and to bring it back into the closing that we like to give is thank you for listening, listeners. Please continue to listen, subscribe, download, do all the things that you can do to a podcast that are good things. Good things.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da.
Da da da.